Hello, welcome to the Fern life cycle. Most of my information I received from the University of Waco on a website from Science Learning Hub on the Fern life cycle. Let us begin with mitosis, right over here. Big blue, beautiful orange spot there. And mitosis is a type of cell division that produces gametes, the male-female reproductive cells. In animals, that would be the sperm and the egg. In plants, that would be the pollen and ova, containing the only single set of chromosomes. The chromosomes are the structure in a cell nucleus of a single coiled piece of DNA containing genetic blueprint for the organism and used in growth development later on. So the gamete cells contain half the number of chromosomes than the parent cell. So only a small portion of this guy is actually in these smaller ones. These cells are called the spores, which is where we go here. These are the spores. Those would be considered the small reproductive structures that are released from the sporgoninium on the mature fern. A reproductive structure where the spores are produced. Spores are super small when they are produced by mitosis. And in spore germination, right over here, spores are super small and they are released and they grow into gametophytes, very small heart-shaped structure. That would be right here. And I'm going to use red to illustrate this wonderful heart shape right here. Whoop, whoop. I know it's a very bad heart, but that's my heart right there. That's the gametophyte. And the spores released into the wind can be carried and spread all over land to grow into the gametophyte to produce the sex cells. The Perithous gametophyte contains both female argoninium, and the male sex cells anthracium. They mature at different times in order to decrease the chances of cross-fertilization and genetic variation. The Perithous is the fern gametophyte. It is described as a green, photosynthetic structure that has one cell-thick similarity shaped like a heart or a kidney. In this case, we're going with a heart because it's cuter. Roughly 3 to 10 millimeters long and 2 to 8 millimeters broad. There are no roots, stems, or leaves, but it does have a rhizoid that anchors it to the soil and helps with absorption. The underside of the Perithous is where the gametes are produced from the male and female sex organs. So that would be like this little area right here in the heart. The archaeidinium is the female sex cell right here. It is a flask-shaped that produces the egg. The egg would be in here of the flask, and which is reached by sperm swimming down the neck. That would be this area right here of the neck. The arthrodinium is the male sex organ. That would be this over here. They are small spherical structures that produce flagellate sperm. That would be these guys right here, these golden dots. And then they would swim, whoop, 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 and down the neck up to the egg. Fertilization is the joining of the archaeidinium and the anthracium gametes, combining genetic variation to form a zygote or a fertilized egg. That would be where we get here. The zygote will be then doubling the chromosomes, rise to a whole new fern plant. And since the sperm swims in the water, that little swivel line here, it's very important to note that ferns are often associated with wet habitats because they need that water. In the developing zygote, or spore, in the developing phase, developing sporophyte, right here, that's where we actually get our little seed plant, the seedling. The zygote develops from the Perithous, and it grows using mitosis and develops into a young fern plant. At the mature sporophyte, that would be this one up here, where we started at the beginning pretty much. The beginning, now we have a brand new fern. The mature fern plant consists of 3 major parts: the rhizome, the fronds, and the sporgonia. The mature fern plant is the sporophyte structure that produces spores, which are released from the sporgonia. That would be where these guys are in the leaves, and that's where we start the structure all over again to undergo mitosis, where they reproduce the spores, to spore germination, to gametophyte, Perithous, and to the haploid generation, and then the sex organs, fertilization, developing sporophytes, and again to the mature sporophytes, back to the sporgenia, and then we do it all over again. And we're going to draw a little spiral here. Very bad spiral, but and the cycle keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, so that the cycle keeps going and each new generation occurs. The mitosis to the fertilization is where we have the haploid generation, and the fertilization to the mitosis is when we have the diploid generation. Thank you for listening in on our Fern cycle life. The Fern cycle of life. That is how ferns are made.